For some of you, summer might be almost over. For others, you might have like a month left or a month and a half. So let's do a quick summer check-in and reset. Let's keep calm and mother on. Mothering is way too important to do alone and way too serious to be serious all the time. My name is Christy Thomas, and I am here shoulder to shoulder with you, mothering and enjoying life together. This is the podcast where you can focus on being mindful and taking a deep breath with me and learning new things so you can pause and savor the amazing life you already have. Let's do a quick summer check-in. Your summer might only have like 2 weeks left, or it might have a month and a half, like I said in the intro. But today is the right moment to check in with yourself and to see how it's going. First, I want you to brainstorm ideas of what summer actually means to you. When I pause and put my hand on my heart, I know that in summer, I'm looking for more fun. I'm looking for relaxed connection. And I'm looking for novelty. For summer, for me, I equate it to adventures and staying up late and sing-alongs and sticky foods. I envision watermelon and juicy peaches and s'mores and ice cream. So you can hear summer means sweetness to me. And so check in with yourself. What does summer mean to you? What expectations are you putting on summer that maybe you haven't verbalized before? So take a moment to do that. And then, if you're brave, check in with your kids too, and your spouse, your partner, and find out what summer means to them. If you didn't do this earlier in the summer, I didn't this year because it just kind of rolled up and surprised us. It felt like. So check in and see if you're touching on what summer means to everyone in your family. And then once you have that list of what it means, what summer means to you, okay, you need to decide if you're leaning into those words. Are you leaning into adventure and novelty and sweetness and connection and relaxation? Or are you holding too tightly to things like routines? And there's a balance for both, right? We know that kids who read in the summer, kids who do math in the summer, have less summer slide, right? And they show up to school again in the fall, ready to learn without having lost previous academic growth. But also, we want to lean into getting our chores done while having fun with each other. So this summer, I actually bought like a new chore list planner because I love following someone else's list. And I found someone else's list for chores, and I'm going to use that. And it's been working really well. It's actually called themotivatedmoms.com is where I bought it. That's not an affiliate link, but it's like a weekly printout of chores. And then the kids and I have been divvying it up because my kids are old enough to help. And I actually think that we need to ask our kids to lean in to help because like most 2-year-olds are super helpful. We just sometimes aren't satisfied with how they do their work. So let your kids contribute to your house. Let your spouse contribute to your house, right? Lean into what natural talents your kids have. Everyone wants to feel significant. And in order to feel significant in life, contributing to the good of others besides yourself, that is a key thing. Okay. So let's recap so far. Summer check-in. Find out what summer means to you. Take time to define the words of summer and decide if you've done any of those things yet. 2, check in. Are you being too tight with the routines or too loose? Are you allowing too much freedom in your days and then feeling like you're out of control? Or are you holding on too tight and then not enjoying things like relaxation and that vibe of summer? And now we get into the real meat of it, right? The circle of control. This is what I really want to talk about with the summer check-in. There are 3 levels of things in your life that you can control. Have you heard of this before? There is the things you can directly control. So the things you can actually control. That's the inner circle. There's just outside of that, the things you can influence, but not control. And then there are things that you have no control and no influence around. So we're going to think about these things in terms of summer. So this summer, how much effort are you putting into life? How much effort are you putting into connections? How many times a day are you smiling and showing up with appreciation and saying thank you? How well are you preparing for your days? How are you reacting to other people, to emotions that you have, right? Or reacting to your emotions about other people's emotions? What are you focusing on? Are you choosing a feeling every single day to try to chase? What conversations are you engaging in? Is your connection meter filled high or is it a little lonely? Do you need to prioritize relationships? How much are you focusing on the present moment? How much are you in your head overthinking? What do you tell yourself about how nice you are or how awesome the summer is? What's your mental thoughts? How are you taking care of your body this summer? How many new things can you try this summer? How do you ask for help? When do you ask for help this summer? And are you consuming things this summer that are really helpful for you? What you're reading, the media you're listening to, social media. What are you doing? And what are you doing in your free time? Are you making plans and acting on them, or are you waiting to be invited? And how long does it take you to try again when you feel like something has totally flopped this summer? So that's just a very small list of questions that you can think about that are directly related to you. Your thoughts, your actions, your emotions and beliefs and choices. These are all questions that are related to things that you can control. This is your circle of control. Remember, some of the things that you have control over, you don't always have control over the consequences, okay? But you have choices you can make. Now, the things that you can influence about this summer, right? Outside of your own personal circle of control lives your spouse and kids. And you can increase your influence by leading by example this summer. You can increase your influence with awareness that you have influence, right? Sometimes as moms, especially as stay-at-home moms, sometimes it's easy to forget the positive impact that you have on your family. It's easy to forget that you have influence here because you're so used to noticing the care tasks and the mundane things. You get to choose. And that's what it's important to remember about the circle of influence. How do you influence your days? How do you influence your spouse and your kids, both negative and positive? How can you become a more positive influence on them? How do they influence you? Is one of your kids having a hard time and you're just soaking up that energy of sadness? Maybe there's someone grieving a best friend moving away. Acknowledge the influence that your spouse and your kids and your friends and your family are having on you. Becoming a positive influence in your life will increase your wellness and happiness, and it will increase those things that you want this summer. Connection, joy, novelty, sweetness. Keep an eye out for the negative influencers in your life, because they'll make your story a little bit harder. But if your negative influences are your spouse and your kids because they're legitimately just having a hard time right now, just make sure that you're pouring into yourself more, right? We want to live from this place of overflow, that we want to pour into ourselves, not in a selfish way, but because we know that when we are able to give from the overflow of self-care and self-love and self-compassion, then we are influencing more in that positive way, in that self-compassionate way, in that mindful way. It's about being aware that you have power and control of your life. And I want you to enjoy your summer. Whether you only have 2 weeks left or a month and a half left or a month left, whatever it is, pause right now. Check in. Check in with yourself. Because outside of the things you can control and then the things you can influence are the things you can't control. Like earlier in the summer, it was like every single day it was either rainy or too smoky. And that was hard. And it started to flash me back into like quarantine days and create a stress response in my body. And I had to figure out something different to respond. So notice yourself and remind yourself of the things that you can't actually control or influence and make some choices. That might mean making more time for creativity. That might mean hiring the babysitter more often, even though it's summer. And you're like, whoa, I should enjoy my kids. Yeah, and you will when you take care of yourself. Okay? You don't have to light yourself on fire. You don't have to go to the burnout point. Please don't do those things to love your family and your life well. We like you just the way you are, and I'm so glad you're here on earth. So let's inhale, pause, exhale, pause, and reset summer. There's still a lot of time left. Whatever time we have is the right amount of time. Okay. If you're interested in working one-on-one with me, if you check out ChristyThomasCoaching.com, you will find there's one-on-one coaching and virtual pocket coaching where we can message back and forth with a Voxer, and it's really fruitful. Both of those things, if you need someone to help you refocus. And now for self-care. Your self-care is to pick out one fiction book and one nonfiction book to read before the end of August. And I highly recommend either Thrivers or Unselfie by Dr. Michelle Borba as your nonfiction book. And then if you want to, you can check out my Goodreads, but I'm going to just suggest that if you're like a rom-com type of reader, you either read Emily Henry or any Abby Jiminez book. Okay. For the Abby Jiminez books, you should make sure you're reading them in order because the characters overlap in all of them. But enjoy. Read some good fiction and one nonfiction book. And if you're like, I don't really have time to read, okay, read The Energy Bus by John Gordon because his nonfiction books are super duper short. And I think they're considered nonfiction. They're leadership books written in a story form. There you go. And for your family fun, I want you, I haven't suggested it this summer, and I haven't done it yet. I want you to take your kids to the grocery store. I know that seems scary sometimes. Take your kids to the grocery store and have everyone buy a box of popsicles. If you need to go to the dollar store for this, find your budget-friendly place. Aldi, Lidl, the commissary, whatever it is, and have everyone buy one box of popsicles, right? And then commit that you're going to go on a family walk or sit outside and you're going to each eat a popsicle and hang out with each other. And it's going to be a very intentional thing. Okay. You have always been exactly the right mom for your kids. You can reset summer. And next week, we're going to be talking about boys and peaceful parenting. And then the next week after that, simplicity. I can't wait for you to listen to those. And yeah, rock on, people. Rock on.